welcome to another episode of the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition Small Business Forum. My name is David Dadekian. I'm your host. I'm a small business owner here in Rhode Island. I own Eat Drink Rhode Island. And with us today is the Director of Business Regulation for the state of Rhode Island, Beth Dwyer. This is Beth Dwyer. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here, David.
Director Dwyer, it's appreciated that you're here. Regulation, obviously, sometimes a dirty word in the business community, but obviously a needed, necessary for a lot of different reasons. Let's I know regulation flows throughout all sorts of businesses, large, small, and medium. But let's focus on small business here today. And why don't we start with tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you came to DBR.
So actually, I'm an attorney by trade. I was in private practice in California, and then I moved back home to Rhode Island. I went to law school in California 25 years ago. Wasn't recent.
Okay.
And I joined government in 1997, initially doing public utilities, although my background was insurance, but they're both regulated industries. And then in 2000, I came to DBR as general counsel of the insurance division. And since then, I've kind of added, insurance is probably our largest division. Insurance is a financial service that's regulated by the state, right, as opposed to the federal government. So we have a number of people here that do insurance. But since then, we've added other financial services, banking and securities, and now all the licenses that DBR regulates.
Right. Fantastic. So you've been there quite a while then.
I've been here for 25 years at this agency, yes.
Yeah, you've seen the ins and outs.
Yeah.
And you've been director for about a little over 2 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Insurance, that's an interesting area. There's not any small insurance companies, but there's lots of small insurance agents. Does DBR affect those businesses?
Yes. So we license those businesses. We also spend a lot of time with the independent agents of Rhode Island, just on issues of companies coming into the state, writing here, areas where we might need more companies, encouraging people to write here because we think competition helps consumers.
Yeah.
Just a variety of issues. We do license the independent agents, but we also deal with them on a day-to-day basis about various issues in the insurance industry that affect consumers.
Interesting. That's the fascinating thing to me since joining this coalition. I mean, I've worked with a lot of small businesses over my career, and it's obviously my world. Eat Drink Rhode Island has been a lot of food businesses. We can go into all the regulation involved in those, but I don't know enough about other small businesses. Like, for example, Jen Ortiz, who and is on the governor's workforce board, on our board. I didn't really know anything about the barbering business before meeting her and learning these things. So there's such a varied range of businesses in this state that, I could say we have almost every type of business in this state. How does DBR approach that? Like, is there, major databases? How does that work?
So we only regulate the businesses that the legislature has told us to regulate.
Okay.
We get a lot of calls here from people saying, well, you regulate all businesses. We do not. Many businesses, maybe you don't need a license to operate that business.
Sure.
So you would certainly still have to deal with, Department of Revenue for taxes, Secretary of State to register your business. But outside of that, there's a number of things that there is no license required. So those would be your two touch points with the state. We have all sorts of businesses that, in addition to Secretary of State and Revenue, you also have to hold a license. So the things that you think of as professional licenses, real estate professionals are licensed here, insurance agents, as you just mentioned, securities professionals, many of the banking licenses, things like cryptocurrency, mortgage loan originators. We also have architects, landscape architects, engineers, auto body shops. I mean, the list, if you go to our website, the first thing we list is everything we license.
Right.
Because we get an amazing number of calls for things we don't license. People, I think maybe the department isn't the best named department because we do not regulate every single business. But we try to make sure that the people that are answering the phones know who does, if somebody does. So we get a lot of calls for businesses regulated by the Department of Health, things like hairdressers, barbers, so we know to send them there.
Yep.
People regulated by Department of Labor and Training, plumbers, elevator operators, people like, not operators, elevator construction.
Okay.
Those are regulated by DLT. So we try to put everything together so we can direct you appropriately. But it is something that every business owner has to figure out based on what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. I didn't think about that myself. You're right. If obviously I do marketing and media. I don't have a license for that.
You have a license, yeah.
Thankfully, one more
Thankfully.
thing I don't. But like I said, I work in the food and beverage industry, and there are a lot of especially liquor licenses and liquor sales regulations, things of that nature. So yeah,
And we do liquor, but one of the
Right.
things we get a lot of calls on is liquor is mainly municipal, as
Yeah.
you know, if you're in this business. We are an appellate authority, and then there's a couple of licenses we issue. But for liquor, your number one stop is whatever municipality you're operating.
Yeah. No, I was thinking when I did sales, I had to have a license for that.
Yes, from it, we'll do the sales. Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah. It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. It's amazing to see the types of businesses and the types of regulations that you do or don't need. So, what are the most common questions that you get at DBR? What seems to be, are there overarching small business questions, or is it very specific to different industries?
it's usually pretty specific to the industry. So if I'm doing this, do I need a license,
Okay.
or how do I get a license? We also get a lot of consumer calls on such and such. I have a problem with such and such a business. What can you do to help me? Honestly, 75% of those calls are not businesses that we regulate.
Sure.
But we try to get the people to the right place. But we used to have a lot of calls of, where's my license? Why is it delayed? We have done everything over the last 25 years we possibly can to get most of these licenses on an electronic platform.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you get, depending on the license and depending on how, what I call a clean application. In other words, when you apply, did you provide all the information? You can get some of the licenses in 24 hours.
Excellent.
Others might take a little longer, but we do everything we can to make that process problem not exist anymore, right? So what we're dealing with is substantive problems. Someone might not have a particular, for instance, a lot of our licenses require you to take a test. So you need to sit and take an exam. If you haven't passed that exam and you apply for the license, you're not going to get the license, right?
Sure.
That's a requirement. But every license is a little different. So we do get a lot of calls from licensees, but they're usually very specific.
Got it. So with that in mind, how does the enforcement, the regulation side of it, how does that work?
So what we do, a lot of most of our enforcements come from consumers. So a consumer will contact us and say, this is what happened to me. Is it something that violates a statute? We usually work with the consumer. We want to solve what their problem is. A lot of times we'll contact the business, say, listen, we're hearing from this customer, can this be worked out? I would say the vast majority of the time it can, right? A lot of times either the business didn't realize there was a problem, or, of course, businesses want to help their customers.
Yeah.
But on the occasions when that's not the case and there actually has been a violation of a statute, we will contact the licensee, tell them what we believe the issue is, negotiate with them as far as if it's an issue that you needed to put up a bond and we don't have the bond. Can we get you to do that? If we can get you to do that, great. If we can't, in the last case scenario, we have to take an action against you. So we send out notice and say, listen, this is what we think happened. And this is why we think it's a violation of law. Come on in and tell a neutral hearing officer your side of the story. And we have a proceeding, almost like a court proceeding, only it's only about your license. And at the end of the day, a decision is issued.
Interesting. Could you give an example of a type of business? Obviously not a specific business, but a type of business where that tends to be an issue? I'm trying to think of the
So
type
we
of
have a lot of unlicensed activity. So for
ah,
instance, you might have somebody selling an insurance policy that didn't have a license.
okay.
Or an insurance company is required to make sure that they check and make sure that that producer or agent has a license. We might take an action against a company if they didn't check. A contractor is another thing. If the contractor did not give you a written contract, that is a requirement of Rhode Island statute. Over a certain amount, they have to give you a contract. If they didn't give you that contract, just various. Each license type has a group of laws that you have to follow. A lot of times it's not that though. So let me go back to the contract. You might have somebody who dealt with a contractor and isn't happy about the outcome. We might not take an action there, but we might talk to the contractor, talk to the consumer, see if we can get everybody on the same page to resolve their differences so that, both the customer and the licensee are happy.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a lot that I'm learning. That's really fantastic. I'm sure our viewers and listeners are learning as well, because it's a lot of information that's very interesting to me here. So let's talk about another aspect of DBR. I know one that I've been part of a little bit in the past is that changing some of these regulations, changing some of these things through legislature, through the legislature, through the General Assembly. Is that something that no one enjoys that process, but it's a
Yeah.
necessary process. Is it something you see a lot of issues pop up, or is it something is very much a case by case? Occasionally this year you get something, occasionally that year. How does because I think the things I've seen, the things I've been involved with, are really things that are just it's 2020, at the time 2020 or 2018, and this is just an old why do we still have this type of thing?
Yeah.
Is that mostly the case?
So yeah, what we do, we actually kind of, and we have 22, 23 different things that we license, but we try to kind of survey our laws and regulations and find things that we think are out of date. So for instance, if I go back 10 years, there's going to be a lot of things about signatures, hard copy signatures, doesn't really exist anymore. Just things that are really out of date, or maybe educational certifications that aren't really needed for this particular license type. So we will put together bills that are suggestion to the legislature, maybe you should change this. The other group of bills is bills that various people will bring. And what we try to do on those is we don't feel that our job is to advocate. We think that is for the small business. But we try to give the legislature information. So if there's a bill that would change something that's under our jurisdiction, we will answer questions that legislators might have. How many people would this affect? Would it eliminate licenses? So an example is payday lending. That was one of our licensees, has been for 20 something years. Every year there was a bill to eliminate it. We would go up and provide the legislature with how many licensees are there, how many transactions are there, whatever information we have. But we didn't feel that was our decision to make.
Sure.
Last year, the legislature did pass something that license is going to be phased out at the end of next year. But so we try to provide information on bills that other people have filed, and we try to find things in our statutes that we feel should be changed.
All right. Anything that you've worked on recently that you feel is good for the small business community?
Well, I mean, every year we're going up and trying to make things easier. We are actually on a lot of our licenses. We have a number of different electronic platforms for licenses. It depends on the type of license. Some of them have a national platform, such as insurance, securities, and banking. And then we have a homegrown platform for like real estate agents, auto body shops. One of the things we're doing this year is upgrading that homegrown platform to make it even easier for people.
Great.
We hope that's going to give you all the information you need about your particular license and make it easy for you to renew that license. That system is going to inform you when it's time for you to renew. And everything can be done within the system. So we're hoping that'll make it. Years ago, I used to hear that it took people, days to file all their paperwork, and then
Yeah.
have to, and this was literally paper. So,
Yeah.
25 years ago, it was paper. And that was a big burden, I think, on small businesses. Hopefully it's of distant memory for most people, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that hard. I'm an attorney. It's not that hard for me to renew my license as an attorney. It shouldn't be too hard for anyone to renew their license. And we keep trying to make incremental progress to make that easier.
Well, I think, I've seen that, the process online, and it is a lot faster, a lot easier. I think also the thing that a lot of small business owners here ask for, and we've seen it improve over the years, don't get me wrong, is better communication between the divisions and departments for the state. I think, if there was one repository for information, it might make things a little easier. I know these are things that, you have to work into, but yeah, having to put the same info into taxation as to,
Yeah.
PLT or,
Mhm.
for unemployment or things of that nature. I think, it's just it's a process, and it's a
Mhm.
process that I think our state's moving forward in the right direction on. It's just it does, it does get, like you said, it's not paper, but it can still be frustrating.
It's not paper, but it's still a lot. And we're constantly looking at things like that. As you know, everything costs money, just
Yeah.
like in your own businesses. There's a lot of things you'd like to do and can't afford. And it's not just money. It's for instance, when you put systems together, you have cybersecurity concerns, right?
Oh yeah.
So we have to make sure that's the case too. We need to protect the information that's in those systems. So there's a lot of different. What I mentioned before, some of these systems are national, and that is of great benefit to the small business. So let me pick banking for right now. If you're a mortgage loan originator, there's one system. You apply, you're a Rhode Island resident, you can get licensed in other states through that same system.
Right.
So that is a big benefit, and we wouldn't want to ever get rid of that benefit by going to a Rhode Island only system, right? So there's a lot of different, a lot of things to consider when you
Yeah.
consider what system should talk to everyone. But we do understand the frustration. We know it's tough to run a business, and we try to do what we can to make our involvement in that less taxing on the small businesses.
Excellent. Well, you just brought up cybersecurity. You mentioned crypto earlier. I mean, technology is constantly changing. I mean, we here at the Small Business Coalition just did an AI seminar a couple weeks ago. All these types of things. How do you feel? Not you personally, but the department. I mean, maybe you personally. I don't know your interests, but the department feels in staying abreast of these technologies and these changes.
So we do everything we can to, of course, not an AI or cyber expert, but we try to keep ourselves appraised of how that is affecting our various businesses that we're regulating. We have put out a bulletin in insurance on AI, responsible use of AI, some of the things that you've heard in the paper about irresponsible use. We're telling insurers, well, no, make sure that there's a person involved in every transaction
Yep.
that understands what's happening with the consumer. And I think that's just good advice for all businesses, right? Anything that
Yeah.
you're using that you don't understand how it's affecting your customers is probably not going to be beneficial. But it might also violate the law. So,
Yeah.
but we try to stay as apprised as possible as it relates to the people that we're regulating. So we go to a lot of seminars. There's a lot of trade organizations out there on the various different subject matters that give us information. So we try to access that and use it as well as we can. We're also trying as hard as possible not to make our regulation too prescriptive. We don't want to be out there banning things. We want
Right.
to warn businesses, this is a road that if you go down this road, that you might hurt yourself or your consumers, and you might violate the law. But we just find when we tell people exactly what to do and how to do it, a new scenario comes up where that doesn't work out very well, right? So
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think, like we've discussed at the Small Business Coalition, and I myself find these are just tools.
mhm.
If you need to use these tools for your business, stay abreast and stay on top of it. But unfortunately, bad actors use these tools as well, and to be aware of
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. If we think back 25 years ago, sometimes when I think about it, I'm just amazed. When I started out of school, we didn't have email. I literally can't even imagine that,
Right.
but it happened.
Yeah. No,
We
it's true.
got along somehow. We all have to keep abreast of the new modern techniques and kind of incorporate them into our daily lives.
Yeah, no, I tried to explain to my kids the idea of a map book, and
Yes.
remember the street guides where you
Yeah.
no idea at all.
We used to have them all in our cars. Remember 4 or 5 of
yeah,
them?
that
Not
yellow,
anymore.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the fascinating thing about small businesses too, and what we've learned over the last 5 years, and over all time, is that the constant changing for small business, and I think that that reflects with regulation and things of that nature. So it's nice to hear that you're trying to stay on top of things like that. So this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate it. It's been very educational for me. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go? Anything particular to small business you're thinking of?
So just to let your listeners know, we are available. So if you have questions or you feel that there's something that is adversely affecting your business that you'd like us to know about, we're very interested in hearing about it. We have, if you go to our website, which is every government website is ri.gov, but DVR, obviously, we have a page with all the different businesses that we regulate. We have email addresses that will direct your email to the right department. If you couldn't figure, if you don't see that, send them to the director's office. We'll send it to the right person. And we're here to answer your questions. So anything that you are interested in hearing, please let us know.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much. And of course, I'll be linking up the website and those contact information and all that down below in the show notes so that people can easily get right to it. But yeah, it is a very easy site, dvr.ri.gov. It's easy to get to. And it's it's a constantly evolving thing, but it's it's nice to say it's a really good process. So Beth Dwyer, Director of the Department of Business Regulation, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Take care. All right. I thought that was a fascinating conversation. I a lot of things about other businesses that I learn all the time, and business regulation is certainly one about. Oh, sorry for a little technical difficulty there. Anyway, please check out all the episodes of the Coalition Forum on YouTube. We'll be linking up all the information down below. As always, we appreciate a like, subscribe, comment, and all those things. And until the next episode, take care.